after almost 2 decades of waiting, we finally get a sequel to my favourite Power Rangers series, Time Force, with Sins of the Future. And does it live up to the hype? Let's find out. Hey there guys, so last year it was announced that Boom Studios would be doing another one-off story to Power Rangers Time Force, which would be the conclusion to Wes and Jen's relationship. For you guys who are new to the channel, Power Rangers Time Force is my favourite Power Rangers series, and I explained it so many times that I can't be bothered to explain it again, but go check out my other Power Rangers related videos that I will explain it in much more detail. So Wes and Jen is my favourite couple in Power Rangers, and after Reinforcements of the Future, it was unclear what happened to their relationship. We have saw Wes a couple of times in the last 2 anniversary specials. With Jen, I'm guessing she went back to the future, and Sins of the Future does confirm that, but also they kept in touch. And what did I think of Sins of the Future? It's solid. There's stuff in this comic that I wasn't on board with, but that was just me. I put my hands up. There's nothing wrong with the comic. There was just some stuff I just wasn't really agreeing with. Just like Psychopath the year before, which I really liked by the way. I thought it was going to be this epic showdown between the Rangers and the Psycho Rangers, but it's more of a character arc for the Psycho Rangers. And what Boom Studio does with the Power Rangers, they like to think outside the box, which is nothing wrong with that, because Shattered Grid's the best thing to come out of Power Rangers last decade, and Sins of the Future, which is solid. I thought it was going to be more of a Wes and Jen send-off, but it's more of a Jen personal story. I will be talking about the things I didn't like, the things I would change in this comic, and the things I really like. Let's start with the other Rangers. Lucas, Trip, Katie and Eric didn't really need to be in this story. I can understand it's a Wes and Jen story, but I would like to see what they're doing now, especially Eric. Is he still having a relationship with Taylor from Hyperforce after Reinforcements of the Future? I feel like Wes was so laid back in this story, kind of like what he was in the earlier episodes in Time Force. I loved it when Wes later on in Time Force grown to take things more seriously and acted like a leader, but in this he wasn't even taking his relationship seriously. Originally I thought Sins of the Future was going to take place after Dimensions in Danger, but after reading this it feels like it doesn't take that long after Reinforcements of the Future, because it doesn't feel like the Wes I saw in Legendary Battle and Dimensions in Danger. And also he doesn't have that dimensional transporter device that we saw in Dimensions in Danger, but take it with a grain of salt. The comics aren't really canon, so we can't really argue, but yeah, this doesn't feel like it takes place after Dimensions in Danger. This is like the young Wes. One thing I didn't really like from this comic is the fact that Jen was offered a position for Hyperforce in a couple of years' time. In order to do so, she can no longer travel back in time to see Wes, and they also have to erase Wes's memory about Time Force, how he became the Rangers, so on. I was like, why? I mean, I can understand Time Force's protocol, but Wes was the one that saved the future. If it weren't for him, Time Force wouldn't exist. I mean, Time Force owes Wes. I mean, I'm guessing that's how he gained that transporter device, but that's not canon, whatever. But yeah, that I just didn't like that. That really felt like Wes wasn't important to Time Force. Now, I know we get these cool nods to Hyperforce, but here's the thing. I haven't watched Hyperforce yet. I know I'm a big Power Ranger fan, but I haven't watched Hyperforce. I am planning to do so in the next month or so, but it's something I've been avoiding for years, and I understand, I hear great things about it, and I understand it has this cult fan base. But to me, it's kind of like watching Super Sentai. You're in that different mindset. I mean, it's kind of like watching people playing Monopoly to me, but I will watch it at some point. Now, I like the Black Time Force Ranger concept of how she wants to take her revenge on Jen or what she did to her brother, Alex, and she's in this constant time loop. But in my head, I wish it was Alex who was the Black Time Force Ranger, and it would work. I mean, in my head, it would work brilliantly. I mean, if you watch the show, later on the show, he's in charge of the Time Shadow Sword. I mean, if you think about it, a Time Shadow Sword is Black Time Force Ranger. He's in charge of that. That would work. I would like to see Alex come back as the Ranger, but not the Red Time Force Ranger, but as the Black Time Force Ranger. That would just work. That would be just great to see. I liked how we got a bit more of a backstory to Frix before he turned into a robot. He used to work for Time Force, but his ideas were too extreme, so he got kicked out. But he was the guy who created Phenomark, which led to Ranzik's terminal illness. The whole Frix clone, I just thought that was too far-fetched. My favourite thing to come out of this comic is Wes and Jen's happy ending. I've waited 20 years for this, and they're in this outpost outside of time and space known as Outpost 1, which all Rangers can use. I love this idea and I hope to see it again later on in the comics in Power Rangers, but imagine there was other outposts, like an Outpost 2 that allies can use, but only if he or she is approved by another Ranger, or Outpost 3 that's like kind of like top secret for only Red Rangers or mentors or team leaders. I just love that idea, but this is like such a great ending to Wes and Jen, because it's a really, I mean, the easiest way, like, oh, Wes just goes to the future or Jen just stays in the past, but this kind of makes more sense. I mean, they're outside of Time Force, I just love that idea. I mean, this felt like the true ending that I've been waiting for. Overall, Sins of the Future is a solid conclusion to Wes and Jen's relationship. There are some ambitious ideas, some I wasn't on board with, but I just got on with it. If you're a fan of Time Force or the Boom Studio comics, I highly recommend this. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Go like, share and subscribe. Let me know, what did you think of Sins of the Future? And what is your favourite comic storyline from the Power Ranger comics? Go check out my Facebook, my Twitter and my Instagram page. You guys are awesome. I got your back.